Everybody, so I'm gonna run through with you how to start to build the BenJim house for the architecture assignment in 3D digital design in SketchUp. So here we have a SketchUp file that's open. You're going to go to the classroom. You're going to click on the classwork section, select the lesson itself, and then in here you'll see that there's just a floor plan, and which is a JPEG, and also a BenJim design packet, and so you should download both of those. And so the JPEG is what you're going to be using in to create the floor plan, and you're going to click on it, and then this little download symbol, you're going to download that to your classroom. And then I also recommend that you do the design packet as well, because there's going to be things that you need to reference there, particularly when it comes time to do the windows. So click on that as well and download it also. But please make a note that one is a JPEG and one is a PDF, and the floor plan is what you're going to want to use, which is the JPEG. So here we have our file. We're going to look at our floor plan, and on it here, if we look carefully, we can see that the length or the width of the building is 32 feet 0 inches right here. So we're going to use that as kind of our guide for how big we need to actually size this image. So the best way to do that, obviously, is to draw a line and make sure it snaps the to the red if it's going to be parallel. And so we're going to click once and we're going to start to drag, and then we're just going to type into the box at the corner. We're going to write 32 feet. We can start to see that here's 32 feet in scale, and we're going to use this to kind of guide our sizing of the image. So we're going to bring that image in now, and so we're going to say File, and we're going to say Import because we're bringing something in. And it's really important here. It's going to be in your download, so you have to click that, and you'll see right here it shows up. And the other thing that's important here is we want to bring it in and use as image. There are other things here, but we want to bring it in as an image and not as a texture, because if it's a texture, it's going to go right into our materials window, and we don't want that. We actually just want to use the image itself. So bring it in as use as image, and you're going to see that it's going to float around here, but we're going to have to make this larger. So what happens is it's when you click, it's going to anchor it and then make it larger. So what we want to do is try to make it match approximately what looks close to the size that we need it to be. Now we want to make sure that we're looking straight down at this. So in order to do that, we're going to go over to the camera here, and we're going to go to standard views, and we're going to go to top. And you might notice that down here, we're still seeing that little bit of perspective here, and we do not want that. We want that to be taken off. So don't be fooled by what you're looking at. So we want to make sure we turn off the perspective, and then as you see, that kind of goes away. All right, so here we have our line, and we have our image. And so now we're going to use the move tool, and we're going to line that up. You could use it here if you wanted. Maybe this would be a good place to do it, but I'm just going to grab this here, and I'm going to have to scale this again. And so the shortcut, I believe, is S. And when you do that, you can see that it goes into scale mode. Now, I'm not holding the shift key in this case. This looks like it might be a pretty good match. And if I want to go back into the move tool, I'm just going to click M, and I'm going to move that back. And this actually looks almost pretty good. Okay, hi everybody. So we have this scaled now, and we'll be able to go in and and add the rest of our geometry. And we're going to make a layer so that the floor plan, we can turn it on and off. So we're going to click the plus button, and we're going to type in the name, floor plan, and I'm going to select that, and then using the entity info box, I'm going to apply that to the floor plan layer. And so when we turn it on and off, it will be there. Now, we can also lock this now, and when you lock it, it turns red, which basically means that you can't move it. So now we know that geometry is different than the geometry that we have here. And you can see that it turns off. So I'm going to actually right now create another layer, and I'm going to call that walls. And I'm going to, you notice I clicked here on that line, and I'm going to apply that line to the walls. And when I turn that on and off, you can see that too. So now I'm going to build the geometry for my house. And we know that this is 32 feet wide. And if we go here to the extension line from the corner, we can see that there's 8 feet and 8 feet, which makes 16 feet. So we could actually go ahead and make this box here to create our 16 by 32 foot part of the square. So I'm going to click the pencil tool, and I'm going to mouse over my line until I get to that end point. I'm going to click on the end point, and I'm going to go straight up, and I'm going to type in 16 feet, and I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to click again on that endpoint, come across, type in 32 feet, hit enter, and that's going to apply it. And then you'll notice that I'm going to come right down, and when I click straight down, it's going to end on that endpoint along the green axis, and I'm just going to click that, and it's going to create the shape, so it's going to fill in gray. And so I have that top part of our house. Then I'm going to make this bottom part, and in order to do that, I need to lay some guidelines down. So if I look at the dimensions here, I can see that there's an extension line that comes to the outer part of this lower part of the house, the living room area. And if I look at my corner dimension line here, it's 8 feet. So I'm going to just pull a guideline 8 feet, and from the left hand edge, and then from the right hand edge I'm going to do the same, because you can see right down here it says 8 feet. Now here's where you're going to notice that the drawing actually is kind of inaccurate. We know that our SketchUp model is correct, but the actual drawing is not does not really match up with where the 8 foot outer wall is. But we're going to follow the dimensions instead of what we see on the plan. And I'm going to fill in the rest of that. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to type 16 feet rather. And I'm going to do the same thing I did before, come across 16 feet. It's very nice that these are whole numbers. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on the endpoint, and I'm going to come right up here and look at that. If we look at this measurement, it's 16 feet also. So now we know we have that total T shape, and I'm going to take my eraser tool, I'm going to delete the guidelines, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this center line too, because we don't actually need this part. And here we have our T shape of the house, and so now I'm going to make the walls, and I'm doing this for the outer walls because it's just easier. But before I do anything else, I'm going to select this. I'm going to triple click it so that I select all the lines and I select the shape, and I'm going to make sure that all of this is put on the wall layer, so we know that it's separate from the floor plan. Alright, so now I'm going to use the offset tool, which is right next to the scale tool. I'm going to mouse along the edge. Do not do this from the middle or from the corner. You want to mouse along the edge so you get that red square. You're going to click, and you're going to drag in just a little bit, and you're going to type in 6 inches. And to get inches, you're going to click Shift and then the quotation marks. And you can see that it shows in the lower right hand corner 6 inches, and you're going to hit enter. So right here are your walls. As soon as you do that, you can see that these separate out. If I mouse over it, I have this, and that these walls are actually separate. So this is all well and good, but um, we can't see the floor plan anymore. And so here's where we have to change something. So what you're going to do is you're going to go up to View, and in order to see through this, we need to go to X-ray style, which is located under Face Style. These are different face styles. The one that's commonly used is shaded with textures, which is what we use so that we can see the gray and we can see what's highlighted, both the lines and then the surfaces. But in X-ray mode, you can actually see through. And here is where we're going to start to lay out our windows and maybe some extra walls. Keep in mind that you can always change this floor plan. Again, we're building on a pad, so this area here, which is the stairway down to the basement, will not be here. So this actually offers you an opportunity to either make the bathroom larger or the kitchen larger. And you can pretty much play with the placement of these walls. The one thing that should sort of stay standard is this area for the chimney, or I think in other classes we've said that we should leave at least a 3 by 5 inch, foot, 3 foot by 5 foot box so that we have an area for utilities. And by utilities, we mean like a furnace and a water heater and the electrical panel. So you could locate that over in this area if you wanted to. This is the bedroom. This is the bath area and the kitchen, and then you have a large living room here that looks out over a patio. And we're going to be adding the patio, but we're just going to be doing it a little bit later. So we're going to take a look at that in the next video. So here we are again with our outer walls done. We're looking at it in X-ray view. And at this point, I would like to think about where I want to put the walls. So whatever you decide to do is totally up to you. But a good way to kind of make sure that your walls are the correct thickness would be to do things like pulling a guideline to show that. So I'm going to pull a guideline on edge with the red square showing, and I'm going to pull that to one of the areas where I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a wall of some kind. And so that I know that the wall I draw in is 6 inches, I'm going to establish where that guideline is, and then I'm going to click and I'm going to pull up 6 inches. So that's 6, and then shift in quotes and click enter. And I'm going to do that actually for any of the walls that I think that I'm going to have. And in this case, I'm going to eliminate this step here, and I'm probably going to put the second wall right here, and then I'm going to pull another guideline over 6 inches. And I am going to leave the bathroom approximately in that space, so I'm also going to add, that means I'm going to add a wall here too, and I pull that over 6 inches. Type in 6 inches, and so here I can start to work the framework of what I want to do, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start to put these in. So I know that I'm going to eliminate this wall here. So it's really up to me on where I want to start this wall. Maybe I want this to all be open, pretty much to the living room. So I'm actually going to start my wall here, and I'm going to pull across to that here, and then I'm going to pull from here to the up arrow to there, and I'm going to come across again on the red axis, click there, and then I'm going to let my inferencing kind of show me where I need to put things. And remember that you can always hit escape to get out of a tool, and you'll notice that when I'm pulling these lines down, it's turning green, and that lets me know that those are actually on the green axis, which I want, so that everything is parallel. And in this mode, you're not going to see you're not going to see the surfaces turn gray because we're in X-ray mode. If we change this out of X-ray mode and we go to, and remember X-ray mode is under view, and you're going to go to face style and you're going to turn that off, then you would start to actually see what these walls might look like. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like this. Turn on X-ray, and I know that my lines are in here. Now I also know that I'm probably going to have a door right here, so I'm just going to make that opening now and put those lines in. Whoops. And remember, you might want to get close. So we know that if we go to the window and door schedule, this is a number 3 door. So if I look at that, and I also added this here so that you guys can see how to read the window and door schedule. So that was a number 3 door. And if I look at the example here, number 3 is 2.5 feet wide by 6'8" or 7, depending on what type of door you want. But I know it's 2.5 feet. So what that means is that when I come over here and I pull my guideline over for where that door should end, I'm going to pull it over 6.5 feet. So I'm going to take my guideline. I'm going to zoom in so that this pulls from the center, and I'm going to pull 2 feet. So it's 2 feet space 6 inches. And that shows me that this is going to end right here. So I'm going to take my pencil tool and I'm going to draw that line there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my eraser tool to eliminate any line work that I don't want. So this is going to be a little jog in here because remember, you always sort of need a little bit. You could move this door. You need a little bit for the return of the wall. Around 6 inches usually. So this is actually kind of a little small. I might want to move my door closer to over here and then pull it over. But I'm going to eliminate these lines because a door is going to go right in here. This is the linen closet. These lines are not quite as crucial. I think I'm going to leave that linen closet in there, and so I'm just going to go ahead and draw this in because realistically, a linen closet door is really nothing that's going to be very structural, so I'm not going to really worry too much about my spacing. Now that's a 4 door, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at my number 4 door, and that one is 1.5 inches, 1 foot 6 inches wide. And remember that the width is always on the left hand side and the height is always on the right. So I'm going to go back here. So we said that that was 1.5. And so if I make this my door here, I'm going to take my guideline tool. I'm going to zoom in. I want to get that middle part. And I want to do 1 foot space 6 inches. Type that in. So right here is the opening for my door. So then I will come right here and make that door space. And again, I'm gonna erase in between here so that I can get rid of those. I'm going to erase this right here as well, and also over here. So now when I look at my walls, I definitely have I have the walls for the bathroom and I have the walls for the bedroom here. Now I could also go in and just make sure that my spacing here for my 3 door, so this is another 3 door, which we know is 2.5 feet. So I could just double check my measurements here and I can pull this. And so here I have 2 feet 10 inches. So maybe what I want to do, if I want to split the difference, I might draw a line from here to here and then pull the guideline along here and figure out where that middle space is. And that's telling me it's right here. So then if I know that this is 2.5 feet, I can, so half of 2.5 feet is 1 foot 3 inches. So then I could just pull a guideline from here, 1 foot, well, we want to do it on the edge, right? So 1 foot 3 inches. and 1 foot 3 inches from the other side. 1 foot space 3 inches. And so now I know that the return on the wall here is going to be right here. So I'm going to quickly draw that in. I'm going to maybe go all the way up um, to the edge here and then draw across like that. And also, whoops, you got to be careful about being too far away because it will snap to things that you don't want it to. And then I'm going to eliminate this line, and I'm going to eliminate that line, and then these lines, because all I really want is the return in that wall. And I can always pull that back over when I add my door. And here I'm not going to have a door, so I'm just going to leave it like that. I think I'm going to use this area as my space for the utility closet. I'm going to put it as part of the bedroom. I might also hide it back in here too. That could be an option. Maybe I'll make a small pantry and I'll hide that space. But we know that it has to be 3 feet wide by 5 feet long. So if I pull a line here and I type in 3 feet, I know that the space would come out to here, and then from here is 5 feet. So 5 feet. So right in here would be the space for my closet in this section for the bedroom. Maybe I want to have it over here, which I might do. I think I'm going to move it over there. But whatever, I'm going to go ahead and set up my walls. Okay, so I've put in my walls here and I'm pretty much leaving it as an open floor plan, but I just wanted to show you that if you want to get rid of all those guidelines that you made, you can just click the eraser tool and erase around the outside of your model and get rid of them. Now I'm going to turn the X-ray tool off, and I'm going to do that in view, face style, and turn it off. And here you can see my walls. So I still have a little bit of editing that I have to do here. I just want to make sure that I have all these walls separate. And my door is going to be here. This is the kitchen area. This is my utility area and the bathroom. And then I've kind of left the area in the front open. So now I'm going to turn this and I'm going to pull up my walls, and I want to show you how we're going to do this. So I'm going to change my view. I'm going to change my camera view. I'm going to go to ISO, which puts it in perspective, but it looks really weird in this perspective. So the next thing you have to do, and you have to make sure to do this, is to uncheck parallel projection. And so here is my model. So right now I don't really want to see this floor plan, so I'm just going to take it away. And one of the things that you have to remember here is that we're going to have a 1 foot pad that's exposed above the ground level. And our house is actually going to be built on top of that. So what that means is when we pull this up, remember that we're at 0 feet right here. That means that when we pull our walls up, we're not going to pull them up 8 inches, even though it says in the BenJim, you can see right here, it says the height is 8 feet. But we also have to take into account that 1 foot that we have. So that means we're going to be pulling it up 8 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mouse over the exterior walls. Now I could do the exterior walls or I could do the interior walls first. Doesn't really matter because it's probably all going to come up at the same time. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up this and the middle part, and I'm going to type in 9 feet. All right, so I'm going to use inferencing and have those walls match what I did to that first wall. So here you can see, here are my walls. Now, the floor is still at 0 height. So I want to now bring that up 1 foot. And I'm just going to pull it up and I'm going to type in 1 foot. So it's 1 and single dash. And now my floor is at 1 foot. Now, the other part we're going to be adding windows and doors here, so we want to make sure that we remember that the floor is at 1 foot, because that's going to be important. We have to build everything up off that 1 foot mark. So to remind myself of that, I'm going to take my guide tool and I'm going to type in 1 foot. And I'm going to do this all the way around the building, and I'm going to use inferencing to do it. And you can double check your work. I can kind of like snap it over there. I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to continue all the way around the building, making sure that those guidelines are in the right spot, because that's going to be really important when you start to put in your windows and your doors. Now that one just went through, and we're going to do the same thing here. Oops. And here you can always check your work or type it in. The best thing to do is to type it in, actually. Sometimes we get lazy and we use the inferencing, but if you really want to make sure that you haven't accidentally pulled it out, you will want to know that you've put the guideline up there. All right, so in the next video, we're going to be adding the holes for the windows and doors.